me just start with an email that will set the tone for this AEW television review. From someone whose name will be withheld, because I don't know who might be looking for him after this. Hi, Jim. I've just caught up with the podcast. Your thoughts on Moxley and Brody Lee eloquently expressed what I've thought about them for years. I've been listening to you try and give these guys the benefit of the doubt for all this time and could hear you wondering why they were so well liked and knew you were going to get that they both were just not very good. I thought I would help explain why these two have the reputation they do, and a lot of it goes back to our old friend, Uncle Dave Meltzer. Beyond the obvious, they both left WWE willingly for AEW, and so they are heroes now to that demographic. Brody Lee is real-life best friends with Chris Harrington, long-term member of Dave's message board and economics contributor to the Observer newsletter. Chris Harrington, and folks, feel free for anybody to fact-check this because I'm enlightened by this, but if anyone calls this into question, please let me know. Chris Harrington is now in charge of the finances at AEW. Dave Meltzer recommended him to Tony Khan and got him the job. Brody Lee talks to Dave all the time, and Dave has always promoted the guy on his radio shows and called for him to get a big push. He's also a moves and flips guy, despite being 6'6" and 275 pounds, big Japanese wrestling fan that's also into all that silly stuff and worked for Chikara, so an absolute hero to those guys. So apparently, Brody Lee's best friend is one of Dave Meltzer's friends that now works in charge of finances at AEW. I don't know whether this is Wouldn't You Know Who Won the Pony or it really is All Friends Wrestling.
Well, I could tell you Chris Harrington's name was the name on that contract we saw between the Maryland State Athletic Commission and AEW. I don't know if contract's the right word. The resolution, I guess, or whatever.
Yes, the resolution of the complaint.
He was the name on there, and he was the signature.
At first, when I read Chris Harrington, I was thinking half of America's Most Wanted with James Storm, but that was Chris Harris. Nevertheless, anyway, this mystery writer continues. As for Moxley, when the Shield were put together, everyone in WWE was telling Dave that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were going to be the big stars of the team. Imagine that. Roman Reigns, The Rock's cousin, a 6'4", 275-pound Samoan badass who looks like a movie star and who can work and is tough and dedicated, and Seth Rollins, a guy with a great body who can talk and is great in the ring, etc. Although they've numbed that talking down with this gimmick they've given him. But anyway, imagine that they were going to be the stars. So Dave relentlessly bashed Roman Reigns and promoted that Dean Ambrose should be in that spot. So for 5 years, Meltzer pushed the narrative that Dean Ambrose was the next Stone Cold Steve Austin and Roman Reigns was Lex Luger. It's religious doctrine now that Moxley is great and should be the top guy in the business. It's going to take a while for the penny to drop that Roman Reigns is actually really good and acts serious and is a believable, hardworking, tough guy, and that Moxley has some talking ability but is a goof cosplayer himself. Have you seen his indie work pre-WWE? No, I actually haven't. He goes on to say, woof, thumbtacks, ladders, light tubes, bullshit, but he said fuck and put his middle finger up a lot, so he must be Austin. Give me a break. Well, some of this explains some of that. Wouldn't you think?